So there are a great many people posting railway videos on YouTube, and this one I hope to do something that's a little bit different to the rest, in that I'm presenting 20 years worth of photographs and a couple of video clips of encounters with the Locomotive Tornado, which is probably one of my favourite locos. My wife and I were privileged to see Tornado being constructed at the Hopetown works in Darlington on two occasions, once in 2005 and the second time in 2007, at the time when the boiler had just arrived at the works. So I'll be including some photographs from those visits, plus three more of the locomotive actually in operation, once at the York Railway Museum and twice at the Bluebell Railway in Sussex. Enjoy! And so to 2005 and our first visit to the Hopetown works in Darlington. And what we find there is a kit of parts, really, rather like a giant airfix kit. And in this first shot you see the cab, the driving wheels, and the wheels for the pony truck. Then in the second shot you see the frames with the smoke box already assembled. Then the smoke box door, the nameplate, and a front view showing the wheel set for the front bogie. Finally, I've a shot here of Jane posing with one of the three 19-inch diameter pistons. As yet there is no boiler, but that was to arrive in 2007, shortly before our visit there. On our second visit to the Darlington works, we arrived just in time to see the driving wheels being returned after their final machining. The boiler had also recently been delivered, but it was so huge that we couldn't get a distant shot of it. The best I could do was this front view of the boiler, showing the tube plate, and an inside view of the firebox. But this gives absolutely no indication of the scale. The firebox is absolutely massive, the grate area being 50 square feet or 4.65 metres squared. And here we see Jane posing once again. Here's the crank axle with the crank resplendent in its red paint. And finally the left-hand valve and cylinder block with partially assembled motion. And so to June 2010, and at last we get to see Tornado in its finished state, here at the York Railway Museum. And in this photo we see it alongside one of the museum's most famous exhibits, the Mallard. Now, if you stripped away Mallard's streamlined casing, you would see a remarkable family resemblance between the Mallard and the Tornado. But the two locos were designed with a completely different design philosophy. So Sir Nigel Gresley designed the A4 class in an era when speed was synonymous with modernity. It's the era of 1931. Britain won the Schneider Trophy air race outright, and there were characters like Sir Henry Seagrave and Malcolm Campbell doing remarkable things with the land speed record and water speed records. So all-out speed was the priority. It was creating a glamorous image for the London and North Eastern Railway Company. However, moving on to the late 1940s, or mid-1940s I suppose, the end of the Second World War, and Gresley's successor, Arthur Peppercorn, in designing the A1 class, was designing something that was altogether more utilitarian. So there were priorities for ease of maintenance and reliability rather than out-and-out speed. However, the loco's certainly no slouch, and Tornado has done the magic ton, 100 miles an hour, and it's a great testimony really to Peppercorn's work. In building the Tornado, the A1 Steam Trust adapted modern manufacturing techniques to Peppercorn's design, so there are some significant differences, particularly the all-welded boiler. Now I should mention at this point the contribution made by David Elliott, who was technical director of the project. David sadly passed away in December 2023, and really without his wonderful expertise and perseverance, I don't think we would have had a locomotive quite as successful as Tornado has been. And his passing is a great loss really to the Heritage Railway movement. And I'd like really to dedicate this video to his memory. And so here are a few more images of Tornado at York. And on the following day, we actually caught Tornado and Mallard in tandem. Tornado was actually conveying Mallard to the National Railway Museum's other campus at Shildon in County Durham. The Tornado is the only locomotive here that's actually under steam, Mallard not having a current boiler certificate, etc. Moving swiftly on to the 29th of July in 2014, and it's a gorgeous summer afternoon at the Bluebell Railway. And here we see Tornado resplendent in its new livery. Yes, that wonderful blue colour, and this is what the original members of the A1 class would have looked like in the early 1950s. The following sequence is from Tornado's visit to the Bluebell Railway's Giants of Steam Gala in October 2025. We see the engine in yet another change of livery. This more sombre green was the standard colour for BR Express locos in the 1960s. First item up, a video clip of Tornado running into Sheffield Park Station, ready to haul the 10:30 up train running non-stop to East Grinstead. This is followed by a slideshow to musical accompaniment, and finally, at the end of the day, the last train was hauled double-headed by Tornado with the Bluebell Railway's very own new build locomotive Beachy Head, and we see the two engines here coming up from the shunt end into the station.
Wasn't it a good film? Watch that. Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you hit the little Darling. The yellow one.
Really good. Got rid of you. What's
Yeah.